Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you!
Before we begin, think about this for a second. What if one of the most dangerous killers in America lived in a normal apartment building right next to other families? What if people walked past his door every day without knowing the horrifying truth hidden inside? The case of Jeffrey Dahmer is one of the most disturbing criminal cases in history. For years, he lived a double life. To some people, he seemed quiet and awkward. But behind closed doors, police later discovered crimes so horrifying that even experienced investigators struggled to process what they were seeing. His case shocked the entire country in the early 1990s. News reports spread everywhere, and people could not believe that something so terrible had been happening for years without being stopped. And what makes this story even more disturbing is that there were moments when he almost got caught, but somehow, he slipped through again and again. A quiet childhood with warning signs. Before the murders began, Dahmer had what many people described as a normal childhood. He was born in Milwaukee and later grew up in Ohio. People who knew him said he was quiet and often kept to himself. As he got older, his behavior became more unusual. He became interested in dead animals and would collect bones and remains. At school, he struggled socially and often appeared disconnected from others. Some classmates remembered him acting strangely to get attention, while others saw him as lonely. Even though there were warning signs, no one imagined what he would later become. The first murder. Now this is where everything changed. In 1978, shortly after finishing high school, Dahmer committed his first murder. His victim was a young man named Stephen Hicks. Dahmer picked him up while he was hitchhiking and brought him back to his house. After drinking together, the situation turned violent. Dahmer later admitted to killing him and hiding the body. What makes this even more chilling is what happened next. After this first murder, he stopped for several years. To the outside world, it looked like he was living a normal life. But deep inside, dangerous thoughts were growing stronger. The murders begin again. Several years later, Dahmer started killing again. This time, the crimes became more frequent and far more disturbing. He targeted young men, many of whom were from poor communities or groups that society often ignored at the time. He would usually meet victims at bars, malls, or on the street. Then he would invite them back to his apartment with offers of money, alcohol, or photographs. Once inside, the victims often had no idea they were in danger. Investigators later learned that Dahmer had drugged many of them before killing them. His crimes also involved acts so disturbing that the case became known around the world for its horror. The apartment of horrors. Now we come to one of the darkest parts of this story. Dahmer's apartment in Milwaukee looked ordinary from the outside. Neighbors had no idea what was hidden inside. But there were warning signs. People complained about terrible smells coming from the apartment. Some neighbors noticed strange sounds and unusual behavior. Still, no one knew the full truth. When police finally entered the apartment in 1991, they discovered evidence that shocked even experienced officers. Human remains, photographs, and body parts were found inside. One officer later described the apartment as looking like something from a horror movie. The discovery quickly became national news, and people across the country struggled to understand how such crimes could happen for so long without being stopped. The victim who escaped. Now this is the moment that finally ended Dahmer's killing spree. In July 1991, one intended victim managed to escape from the apartment. The young man ran into the street with a handcuff still attached to his wrist. Police officers spotted him and immediately knew something was wrong. When they went back to Dahmer's apartment to investigate, they found photographs of victims. That discovery led them deeper inside the apartment, where the horrifying evidence was uncovered. Within minutes, Dahmer was arrested. After years of escaping suspicion, his crimes were finally exposed. The earlier warning that was ignored. As investigators looked deeper into the case, another shocking detail came out. Just months before his arrest, one young victim had escaped from Dahmer. The victim was confused and in distress when police arrived. But Dahmer convinced officers that it was simply a private argument between partners. The victim was returned to Dahmer's apartment. Later, he was killed. This moment became one of the most criticized failures in the entire case. Many people believed the tragedy could have been stopped earlier if the situation had been handled differently. The confession that shocked investigators. After his arrest, Dahmer confessed to multiple murders. Investigators spent days listening to details about crimes that stretched back years. He admitted to killing 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991. The confessions shocked investigators because of how calm he appeared while describing the crimes. The case quickly became one of the most infamous serial killer investigations in American history. The trial. As the case moved to court, public attention became massive. News cameras, reporters, and crowds followed every update. The biggest question during the trial was whether Dahmer was legally insane. His lawyers argued that he suffered from serious mental disorders. But prosecutors argued that he understood exactly what he was doing. In the end, the jury found him legally sane. He was convicted and sentenced to multiple life sentences in prison. For many families of the victims, the trial was emotional and painful. They finally faced the man responsible for so much suffering. Life in prison. Now you might think the story ended there, but it did not. Dahmer was sent to prison, where he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Even inside prison, his name remained infamous. Other inmates knew who he was and what crimes he had committed. In 1994, while cleaning a prison area with other inmates, Dahmer was attacked by another prisoner named Christopher Scarver. He died from severe injuries. His death ended one of the most disturbing serial killer cases in modern history. Why the case still shocks people today. Even decades later, people still talk about the Dahmer case. Part of the reason is the extreme nature of the crimes. Another reason is how many warning signs were missed along the way. The case also raised serious questions about policing, racism, and how society treats vulnerable people. Many of Dahmer's victims came from communities that were often ignored at the time. People continue discussing how the murders might have been stopped earlier. The impact on pop culture. Over the years, books, documentaries, and television series have been made about the case. One major series was Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. The show brought the story to a new generation, but it also caused controversy. Some family members of victims said the renewed attention reopened old pain and suffering. This shows how deeply the case still affects people even after many years. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer is terrifying because of one simple fact. He did not hide in dark forests or abandoned buildings. He lived in a normal apartment surrounded by ordinary people. For years, no one fully understood what was happening behind that door. His case became a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous people can appear quiet, normal, and invisible to everyone around them. And even today, the Jeffrey Dahmer case remains one of the most disturbing and unforgettable true crime stories ever told. If you liked this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload.